Unmistakably You Wedding Academy.
And I'm Chrissy.
And we're here to talk to you today about 5 things that you need to think about if you are starting to set up your itinerary for your wedding day. These are things that are often overlooked that you're going to want to make sure you actually write down and print out and give to the people, whoever the people are.
Yep.
If you have a coordinator, then these are the things that he or she is going to need to know before you have an itinerary meeting. If you don't have a coordinator, if you have a friend or a family member who is helping you out with the execution on the day, these are things that should literally be written down and that you pass off to them, and then hopefully on the day of you can sit back and relax and enjoy your day while you understand that all of this stuff is going to happen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we commonly see people forgetting to do is just to make sure that you have all of the contact information, and by contact information I mean cell phone numbers,
Yes,
of any vendor who's involved on your day. You'll want to make sure that you have information about what time they're dropping things off or delivering things. If it's a cake delivery or a floral delivery, what time is your officiant arriving prior to the ceremony? And then it's so important that you have that cell phone number in conjunction so that if something does happen, maybe somebody blows a tire or takes a wrong turn, then you have a person who can reach out to that vendor and get in touch with them and find out what their ETA is or if there's a problem.
yeah, absolutely. I'd say the second thing is make sure that when creating your itinerary that you allow time for travel. Make sure there's a buffer in there as well. I know that we get pretty extensive down to the minute, but if you're traveling and it takes 10 minutes to get from the hotel to the venue, then make sure you don't put 11 minutes. You want to leave a little bit of extra time to play with. There's traffic, red lights, there could be an accident. So make sure you put a realistic time and a good buffer in there to make sure that nothing falls behind and everything seems to flow and just go together on the day.
And we often see couples who don't think about the fact that you need to eat on your wedding day.
Absolutely.
So allow time for travel, absolutely. Allow time to feed yourself and
Yes.
your wedding party, especially if you've got little people in your wedding party.
Yep.
Hungry flower girls or loose cannons. And also, don't underestimate the amount of time it takes to get into a wedding dress.
Oh, so true. We see that a lot. People, 10 minutes and I can slip it on, when if you think about it, you have all those buttons, sometimes zippers.
Corset back.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, could take a good half hour.
So leave time for just extra things. Build that into your itinerary so that you have paddings to sort of fall back on if you're running late. The third thing ties into the timing element. You're going to want to talk to your photographer about how long it will take to do your family photos or your formal, just the two of you couple photos or your wedding party photos. Sometimes couples sort of estimate, we should be able to do that in 20 minutes, but you forget to accommodate for the fact that you have to walk from the front of the property to the back of the property, and maybe your photographer likes to have an hour to spend with just the two of you on creative couples shots. So make sure that you build in enough time for photography, and also then communicate with your venue coordinator or with your banquet captain or whoever happens to be your contact at your venue about how much time they estimate the service will take. How long is your cocktail hour going to run? How long does it take to serve a 4-course plated meal to 250 people? It's all well and good to estimate, but if your estimates are ridiculously off, you may find that dinner's running later and your photographer's running out of time, and then you have to make a decision between, do we send the photographer home early and miss capturing the speeches, or do we pay the photographer extra for this overage that you could have accommodated beforehand just by having that conversation with your caterer or your venue manager?
I'd say another thing, probably number 4, would be communication. I think is key with anybody who is involved with the day. Say you have an uncle or somebody who's going to do a reading at the ceremony, make sure they are aware of it and they sit near the front so they know when to get up and it's their turn to speak. Make sure your MCs know what's going on. So everybody that's involved in some aspect of the day has a great idea of what's going to happen and where they're needed. That way they're not running off to the bar when they need to come in and make an announcement to your guests. And
speeches are another big one.
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that everybody who's giving a speech knows that as soon as that last dessert is served, you're going to start speeches.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're looking for the best man who's out in the parking lot, and mom's in the bathroom, and somebody's smoking out front. And you need to make sure that everybody knows where they need to be and when they need to be there.
Absolutely.
So that you don't waste a lot of time looking for people.
Yeah.
And I think that the fifth thing that often people overlook is the time it takes for setup and teardown. If any element of your decor is DIY, you're going to want to make sure that you accommodate for enough time to set it all up and then tear it all down. I think the setup is, I mean, you kind of think about that, and you talk to your venue and you say, okay, can we get in the day before? Or if it's a decorator who's doing it, they typically talk to the venue and you don't have to worry about that. But the teardown at the end of the night is something that often I see people overlooking or not accommodating for. It's going to take time to tear everything down and pack it back up into boxes. And a lot of venues do require you to be out at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So your bar closes at 1 and you need to be out by 2, and all of a sudden everybody disappears. And as the bride or the groom, you're not going to want to stand there and, have to pack things up or carry bottles of, or cases of empty beer bottles.
Yep.
You don't want to be doing that at the end of your wedding reception. So make sure that you know what the requirements for teardown are. If you have to be out by the end of the night, and if you've brought in a lot of your own decor, you're going to need to make sure that you have people on hand who
Absolutely.
have a plan for taking that out of the venue and packing it up and putting it away.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So creation of an itinerary is so important. I would definitely start thinking about that at least 2 months before your actual wedding day. Make sure that you work in conjunction with all of your vendors and that they all know the itinerary. And on the day of,
a lot of people at the venue, they're gonna want a copy of that, especially the caterers, and then they can kind of play from there just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Absolutely. So communicate with all of your vendors as to what your itinerary is. If you have a coordinator, they will do that for you. But if you don't have a coordinator, it's your responsibility to make sure that everybody's on the same page so that you don't have questions as to timing on the day. You don't want anybody coming up to you and saying, what should we do now? Should we start speeches? You want to sit back and relax and enjoy. So creating a solid itinerary will help you to do that. If you have any questions at all, or you need any help or guidance, feel free to get in touch with us at any time. You can find us online at www.unmistakably.you.com. I'm Amy at unmistakably.you.com, and you can find us on all the socials. Have a great day, plan well, and enjoy.
And congratulations.